Hi, it's Rachel Maldonado. My website is rhmaldonado.com. Belief in the human spirit and desire to connect is the reason that I want to tell your story and mine. And I am with Joe Serna, Green Beret retired. So, Joe, tell me about this.
First of all, hey Rachel, how you doing? Um, yeah, so yeah, that's what I retired. I retired as a Green Beret. Um, and if I mean, a lot of people don't know, but if it's just an elite unit within the military, within the army. So we operate in smaller forces. Green Berets operate in smaller forces. So it's more of a secretive unit, I guess you would say. But it's something I did for about 14, 15 years before I retired.
Yeah. So, Green Berets, Special Forces, how did you get interested in it?
Oh, so that's a good question. So when I was a kid, the big movies, Rambo and the Green Beret from John Wayne, and uh, I used to enjoy watching those movies, and I was always interested in the things they were doing because I thought it was the coolest thing. To me, that was better than Superman. Watching Rambo, when I was a kid, yeah, I was super amped to watch those movies. So, but growing up, I had no intentions of joining the military. It was I joined out of one day walking by a recruiter, and I needed to make a living, so I decided to join for a few years, and then that just turned into a life into in itself. So, and in 2000 in 9/11, uh, I decided to drop my my Special Forces packet to join the Green Berets. So that's what kind of drove me into becoming a Green Beret. It's just uh, I thought I was going to get out after 3 years, and the opportunity comes up and says, "Hey, this is what the Green Berets do," and they they hooked me. So then I went to training.
Yeah. So, the training, what is that like? What does that mean, to become a Green Beret?
So we do a lot of physical, of course, and we do a lot of academics as well. It's just the stress put on a candidate when they're going through the course because it's 2 years, and they're at a certain point in their career where they want to make a difference and they want to do something else. And who wants to fail after putting so much time into it? So I think a lot of, besides the academics and the physical part of it, just the stress that you put on yourself to complete the course.
Yeah. So, it is not an easy thing to become a Green Beret.
No, uh, it's a 2 year course, 3 year course at the longest, but it's the commitment afterwards that
Mm,
you have to make. You have to commit to a new career, a new field. The special forces is its own field. You have to commit to that, and doing that, we know that we're going to put ourselves in danger. So I mean, there's just the commitment, just a lot involved in earning the Green Beret.
mm. So, becoming a Green Beret and you go through the training, which is intense. And what is that like when you finally, graduate and you're a Green Beret?
Oh wow, I have a quick story about that. I it was one of my proudest moments. I've graduated from other courses, and even got went through regular civilian education.
Yeah.
Becoming a Green Beret is probably one of the highlights of my career in my education as well. And because it was something that I always wanted to do, and I knew it was a challenge for me to push myself. And so I think um, the day I earned my Green Beret, and my dad was sitting in the back of in the audience and watching me cross the stage, getting my diploma and coming off that stage and walking to my dad and handing him my beret and telling him how honored it was for me to give it to him. That was super cool. Because my dad is my hero. Not Rambo, not John Wayne. You know, so I thought the best thing way to honor my father uh, was to give him my Green Beret. So that's what I did.
Wow. So your dad, you walk across the stage your Green Beret and you give it to him.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, the emotional part behind that too was not just what he taught me, but his struggle in life and how he was raised and what he did when he was a kid and what he saw. Um, you know, and everything he experienced. His life was a lot harder than mine, and so I mean that was my inspiration as well. Is also making him proud, and I know I can't. There's nothing I can do that's going to be that challenging for a kid to at his age to work in the fields and pick onions just to come home and go to sleep and start all over with going to school. So I didn't have that challenge, and but I was so that's why I was honored to present my dad my beret. So
Yeah.
he's a really great man.
So your dad, when he was a kid, 8 years old, he was picking onions in the field. He worked in the field. He worked really hard. And you got this work ethic from your dad?
Yeah, I did. I got his drive. I mean, I think I that because I used to sit here and I used to when I was a kid I used to listen to his stories. And he can about what he did when he was growing up, and I knew they had child labor law, but working in the fields of California is more about the money, and that's when he was in the fields during the Cesar Chavez movements and all that. And he had 12 brothers and sisters that were all in the same around the same age and getting home from school, and they had to earn a living. The whole family had to go to the field and pick whatever was the season at the time. So doing that at 8 years old, doing that at 9, doing that at 10, doing that in the teenagers, how tough that is for kids. So
Yeah.
he
Wow.
that life. So, and I know that kind of gives him the work ethics that he has today because he's still going strong. And so all I can do is try to keep up with him, try to make him proud.
Wow. So, I'm sure you did. You got your Green Beret and you have been doing some other incredible things too. And you're in two books. Tell me about those.
Okay, so two books on me. The first one's called Deliberate Discomfort, and it's a collection of stories from special operators, from Navy SEALs to Green Berets to Delta, um, and the science behind the work. So it's a veteran paired up with a scientist, and the veteran shares his stories, and the scientist breaks down, all the science behind it. And so that's called Deliberate Discomfort, and it's pretty cool that I had the opportunity to co-author with that one in a chapter. So that's the first book. The second book is more of photographs, and it's a collection of veterans and from 9/11 to present who served in the military and just showing their life, afterwards, after the military. And it's just a collection of photos. So it's called the 20-Year War, and that's coming out on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So that's going to be super cool as well.
Oh, wow. Wow. And the 20-Year War and Deliberate Discomfort, these two books, it's Special Forces, Green Berets, and Navy SEALs, and, Medal of Honor recipients. And you got a couple medals yourself, too.
Yeah, I have a few. Yeah, I have a few. Oh,
Yeah.
you want to hear them?
Yes.
No, I don't. No, I have a few. I have a few Purple Hearts, a few Bronze Stars. So yeah, I have a couple.
Yeah. So, I love to read. And so I think that it's good to remember stories. And I like that these books are stories. And, you're involved in all kinds of fun stuff, with your work. Tell me about that.
Okay, so I also do some work with a company called Mission 60, and it's a company that my buddy and he had this idea. It's a military friend of mine. He had an idea and stood it up and at this company now, and now he takes on clients that are professional organizations like baseball teams and football teams. He just takes our training and our team building events, and he trains that model. We train to use teams in Fortune 500 companies. So some of the big teams that I had a chance to work with were it was Carolina Panthers, It was the Denver Broncos. It was then the Raiders, which is now Las Vegas Raiders. So, and that's and what was so cool about that is that was my childhood team, and that till this day, that is my football team. So I had the opportunity to work with these guys. So, oh man, that was super stoked on that one.
Wow. So you are a Raiders fan, big fan.
I am a Raiders fan, yeah, and I think just it's just because it's when I was younger, I grew up in the area, and my family were mostly Raiders, not 49ers. So I was kind of indoctrinated at a young age. So it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how big of a fan are you?
Okay. Well, I have a quick story, and it's it's about the Raiders, but it also applies to an event that happened in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And this was around 2008. I was conducting a mission in Afghanistan, a team and I, and we had our terps. Our terps are translators that speak Pashto, Dari. They're local civilians there on the battlefield. But if they speak good English, we can use them as translators. So anyway, um, he was with me. We were all working this one mission, and some things got pretty rough, and I got injured pretty bad. And my translator, my terp, he was injured as well, and we were injured enough to that they had to medevac us. They had to fly us off the battlefield to a British hospital. And because of my job, the things we were doing, the people we were working around with, I didn't we didn't wear any type of U.S. affiliation. We had just sterile uniforms. There was no U.S. Army. There was no American flags. We just had, and then I grew a beard, so I kind of tried to fit in with the locals.
Yes.
Well, I must have did a pretty good job because because when we were on that helicopter and they were bringing us to the hospital to operate on us because we had some pretty severe injuries. They were life threatening, and we were going down pretty fast. And so it was my terp and I, and just really quick, my terp, he looks like a Russian. He has like red hair, freckles, speaks really good English, but he's from Afghanistan. And I used to joke with him. I said, "Hey, when the Russians left, you fell off the back of it, their helicopter." So I always used to give him a bad time, and I was all in good fun because he's a great dude. And so anyway, he looks like an American. He speaks fairly good English, and I'm brown. I have a beard, and I have nothing. I can't talk because of my injuries. And so we're racing to the operating room. There's two of us. There's me. It was he and I, and we was who was going to get operated first because we were both pretty severe. And their policies are when they're working on like military, you always take the military before you take civilians. We take care of ourselves first, pretty much. So the British was going to take care of the American first, which was the Russ that took my turf because they thought he was an American. And so my buddy was like, no, that's not the American. He's telling the doctors that's not the American. It's this guy on the stretcher, the guy next to him. And they were going back and forth for a while. And then the guy was like, "Hey, cut off his uniform." And they're like, "Why?" He cut off his uniform. My buddy was telling the doctor this. And they're like, "Okay." And they start cutting off my uniform. And they're like, "Okay, what?" And they're like, "Now look at his arm." So they lift it up and he's like, "Hey, what Afghani has a Raider tattoo?" They're like, "Oh my God, we had the wrong guy." So they shoot me in. So that's if that's the indication of how big a Raider fan I am, I have a tattoo.
Wow. And your injuries are life-threatening. So if you don't get in right away, like you don't make it. And so your tattoo, it saved your life?
Yeah, the tattoo. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And then when you have this Raider tattoo, is it kind of fun when you're at the Raider facility?
That was a good story. It was just timing. That was totally awesome. I don't think I could have scripted any better. Just with the story, the tattoos, and then I had the opportunity to tell the football team. Yeah, the entire team, coaches, and all players and all staff. So I had the opportunity to stand up there, and a little nerve wracking, but tell the team about the story.
Wow. So, Joe, my last question for you is what makes you feel alive?
A good question. What makes me feel alive are my children. getting to see them, play with them, hug them, love them, take care of them, watch them grow, and watch them be better than I am. Right? So my kids really move me.
Yeah,
Really
beautiful. Well, Joe, thank you for your service and thank you for your stories. They were amazing.
thank you, Rachel, for having me.